wait up. Y'all gotta think about this. Boots infiltrated the camp. That's what I'm talking about. Hey, Boots, we need a report. We need a report. That's what we need, bruh.
Canelo versus Crawford took another turn when Jaron "Boots" Ennis, one of boxing's most gifted rising stars, was spotted sparring with Canelo Alvarez in what insiders described as intense high-level sessions. The reports fueled immediate speculation that Canelo was sharpening his timing and testing his reflexes against a fighter known for explosive speed and slick angles, qualities eerily similar to Terence "Bud" Crawford's style. Meanwhile, Crawford has also been putting a lot of effort into the gym. These sessions weren't just routine work, they were a clear signal. Canelo was leaving no stone unturned as talks of a super fight with Crawford reached a fever pitch.
Do you see what I see? Jaron "Boots" Ennis in a Canelo Alvarez training camp to beat Terence "Bud" Crawford.
The Mill City boxing host, Jorge Jaysmuth, discussed the kind of sparring partners Canelo Alvarez was implementing before a possible matchup with Terence Crawford. He added that two young guns of the game, Jaron "Boots" Ennis and another high-flying power Yo-Yo, were selected to emulate Crawford, and that is the seriousness of Canelo's training and creating a buzz around the move.
Ladies and gentlemen, do you see this right here? This makes a difference. When you're getting that look, that speed, the instincts, the head movement, like a Jaron "Boots" Ennis leading up to this big fight September 13th in Vegas with Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, Jaron "Boots" Ennis and Yo-Yo are definitely the top two guys to bring in.
The host also noted that Ennis made a specific choice to become part of the Canelo camp because of the competitive training environment. He implied that Canelo is pulling out all the stops and trying to make sure he is getting the best sparring possible to face what might be one of the biggest challenges in his career.
The next level, you know what I mean? A lot of people wanted to see Jaron "Boots" Ennis and Terence Crawford. I'm one of them as well. But nevertheless, you got Jaron "Boots" Ennis going out his way. Well, you know, a Canelo Alvarez camp. I know a few people that been in the, you know, the Canelo Alvarez camp, and yeah, he's paying. You know what I mean? Holy smacks.
Tim Bradley was enthusiastic about Jaron Ennis spending time with Canelo Alvarez. In the case of a Canelo versus Crawford fight, he stressed how useful Ennis's feedback on sparring was and how willing he was to see what transpired in the gym by the fans and analysts.
Boots, we need the report ASAP, big dog. Absolutely. We need to know what you was doing against him, big dog. Absolutely. See, y'all be thinking about things the wrong damn way. This is a good thing. Yeah, no doubt about it. I don't care how much you paying, Canelo paying you. Boots, we need a report. That's what we want.
Bradley also said Canelo made a good move by choosing Ennis, who is similar in some ways to Crawford, yet he said Canelo is putting in a major investment to have elite level preparation.
Of course, on the undie for sure. But anyways, that's the way I view it, people. Absolutely, he's gonna gather that knowledge. But Terence "Bud" Crawford. Anyways, that's my time, and I'm out.
The possibility of Jaron "Boots" Ennis facing Canelo Alvarez has started to gain attention following their intense sparring sessions. Many in the boxing world see this as more than just training. It feels like a preview of what could come. Ennis, known for his explosive speed and power, could present a fresh challenge for Canelo, who thrives against elite-level opponents. Greg Hackett discussed how many fans are upset with Ennis for sparring someone who could potentially be a rival of Terence Crawford. He even jokingly stated that the situation might turn even more dramatic when Canelo would face Crawford than Ennis the next year. Hackett cited the example of how out of control this must have been for boxing.
If one thing we can all agree on, everybody hate Boots right now. They mad at Boots, right? So wouldn't it be crazy if Canelo fought Bud and then fought Boots the next year? Wouldn't that be wild? That would be wild.
Greg Hackett added to what he said a minute earlier about how Boots Ennis might be viewing the opportunity to spar with Canelo not only as a training endeavor, but also as an opportunity to show that he deserves to be there and to possibly get a big fight down the road. However, Hackett acknowledged that he, as an individual, would not make such a move because sparring may result in an uncomfortable situation in the future, where the two will be in a contest with each other.
I think the mindset for Boots would be not only to prove I can hang, but to also be trying to see what would come with this shit. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, but I don't think I would do that. I don't know. It's just me. I just think, the only reason I say that, because I think Boots can get that fight. I think Boots can end up in a fight with Canelo. And I'm saying that because, you know, the reason I say I wouldn't do it is because I wouldn't spar you and then here go a year later they fighting.
Bredman Edwards commented on what Jaron Ennis has meant to Canelo Alvarez as a training partner in his build-up to his upcoming fight against Terence Crawford. He justified the selection by saying that it was appropriate considering that both Ennis and Crawford have stylistic similarities, such as fluid switching, a combination of boxing and punching power, and an insatiable attitude.
It was a good move by Reynoso, because if I was getting prepared for Crawford, I would use Boots as a sparring partner. If I was getting prepared for Boots, I would use Crawford as a sparring partner. I think that they're not exactly the same. No two people are, but they're very, very similar in styles with the switching, boxer puncher, killer mentality. They got a lot of things similar. So I think it was a good move by Team Canelo.
Bredman Edwards proceeded by saying that he respected the preparation and the level of sparring that Team Canelo brought to the table, but he, as an individual, still felt confident with Terence Crawford. He pointed out that some fans have already changed their forecasts and are seeing a possible victory of Alvarez, as he brought in Ennis, who was one of the best sparring choices possible.
And I think it was a good move, you know. I'm still rocking with Crawford, but I know some people I was like, man, I'm changing my pick now because that's like the best sparring you could get. And they showed them that Canelo is taking this fight super serious. So I respect everybody's opinion, but I'm still rocking with Crawford. I still think he's going to pull it off.
Canelo, the face of boxing for over a decade, has collected titles across 4 weight classes, solidifying his legacy as one of the sport's most decorated stars. Crawford, fresh off dismantling Errol Spence Jr., has climbed to the pinnacle of pound-for-pound lists with his rare ability to adapt mid-fight, shifting seamlessly between stances and styles to break down opponents. Trainer Derek James, who has worked with elite fighters in multiple divisions, shared a contrasting perspective. James highlighted the physical realities of the matchup, a reminder that Crawford would be stepping into uncharted territory, facing a man accustomed to punishing bigger opponents. He said, "Canelo's timing and strength are different. Crawford is slick, but power changes everything when you move up in weight." Lamont Roach Sr. expressed his opinions, showing fair play and support on both sides. He said just because a lot of people could not see it on paper, Terence Crawford could upset. Roach emphasized that this is a match of 2 best athletes, thus not subject to guesses where to bet. He characterized himself as a longtime fan of Canelo, having seen his talents firsthand, but stated Crawford as a dangerous opponent due to his skills.
I'm saying if anybody can upset somebody, it's Terence Crawford. You know, a lot of people won't line up with that on paper, but it's 2 great fighters, man. I'm just looking for a great fight. I'm trying to get away from predictions. I am a huge Canelo fan because he was in the same stable. We seen him fight up person and seen his greatness.
Lamont Roach Sr. even went further to say Canelo Alvarez had one of the most well-rounded skill sets in boxing. He said that Canelo was capable of defending and punching, catching and slipping, and using his ring IQ to position his precise shots. The second point that Roach illustrated was the fact that Canelo showed the capacity to take a punch and not get rattled by it, and that made him have the elite credentials. He said that Canelo had greater size and experience, as well as the skills of Terence Crawford, which could be important.
Canelo does everything well, pretty much. He got great defense. He can catch punches. He can slip punches. He has ring IQ, set up shots. He can damn sure take a punch. But his skills level is up there with anybody. You know what I'm saying? His skill is up there with Terence Crawford. So, and he's a bigger guy. So I think he does try to remind people who he is. He might be up a little bit more for this fight too, because I know people predicting, like, a lot of people favoring the Cowboys. There's a lot of people jumping in and saying Crawford gonna do something, and rightfully so. But Canelo got the whole tool bag, man. If you need to be reminded, go watch some of his tapes.
Antonio Tarver sounded a serious note and claimed it should be understood that a single punch could immediately change the situation. He noted that Canelo Alvarez possesses the level of power that can end the fight at any given time, and warned Terence Crawford that even his perfect game plan can be destroyed by a single shot. Tarver said that he admired Crawford's ability, but could not deny the fact that Canelo has something that no one can beat him on time.
And Canelo only need one punch. You know what I mean? That really, basically, that's what it boils down to. I think Canelo only need one shot to change the game or change the fight. Crawford gonna have to stay consistent and win out. Gonna have to get ahead and stay ahead. You know what I mean? And then also looming is the controversy. Can Crawford win a close decision? I could never win a close decision. I never won a close decision. That's what's looming. I think if Crawford is going to guarantee victory, he got to stop him.
A man who ain't been stopped.
He got to stop him, bro.
It's challenge.
Teddy Atlas took a look at the risky relationship that both fighters were going into, with both having something to lose as well as to gain. He said that this was risky territory Crawford was venturing into. He was trying to define his greatness over a larger and stronger fighter. As Atlas argued, it was a matter of a margin of error, since Crawford would be required to be nearly flawless in execution to snatch victory. He said, "This fight is about risk and reward on both sides. Crawford is daring to be great, but he has to be perfect. Canelo only needs a few perfect moments." Canelo came into this matchup thinking it was a test of all he has created, including his titles, EMA, and legacy. He wanted to get down to the business right after the first bell, leading over and exhausting Crawford on both the mental and physical levels. His many years of experience at the top level ingrained an unhurried yet hard-driving style.
And now you're fighting a fighter in Terence Crawford, very slick, great jab, can fight both southpaw and orthodox. What impresses you most about him?
No, he's a complete fighter. No, he's a very good fighter. But I'm being there with every single style. Obviously, it's different because he changed the guards and everything. But I need to adapt myself to anything. I hope he comes with the mentality to put a great show. And
his respect for Crawford was that he had the skill set, but he did not feel that he had the power, ring IQ, or championship seasoning to make the difference. The ring was his kingdom, and in the glare of the lights, he was going to show it as much once again.
Yeah, of course, he's a great fighter. I'm being in that situation before, moving up in weight, 2 weight classes, 1 weight class, a lot of things, and I'm not underestimate him. I know he's a good fighter and he's gonna put his best in the training camp. But every advantage I have, I'm gonna take it.
In the meantime, the Crawford camp demonstrated the premium on accuracy and flexibility as their main theme. On the pads, trainer Brian Omac McIntyre continually varied the rhythm, so Crawford had to adjust in the middle of a combination. Dill was slip jabbing, counterpunching, turning away, and jabbing back in a continuum. It was precise in movement and smooth in execution. Andre Ward thought technical adjustment was the key and that it should not be all about brute power. He saw Canelo as competitive early in the fight, but believed, as Crawford has been able to do several times in the past, to turn it in his favor with adjustments as the fight went along. Ward really meant what he had said, owing to his personal experience, as he was a highly talented strategist who lived to get down elite rivals. He remarked, "This fight comes down to adjustments. Canelo can win early, but Crawford will start to read him, and once that happens, it becomes a different fight." The sparring sessions with Ennis only added fuel to the excitement, with insiders suggesting that Canelo's camp wanted to simulate Crawford's speed and lateral movement before fully committing to the fight. Those who witnessed the sessions described them as competitive and intense, though details remained closely guarded. What is clear is that Alvarez is preparing for something extraordinary, a fight that could define the back end of his career. Mark Ramsey weighed in on the matchup, questioning the implications of size against the fact that Crawford is an insanely skilled player. He drew parallels with the experience when Canelo moved up to fight Dimitri Bivol, where one cannot overcome a natural disparity in terms of physicality and power simply because of talent.
I believe at the end of the day, the big guy will win, but it's hard for me to go against Crawford. He's so good. He's probably the best pounds for pounds, but now he play in a division a little bit too big, I believe, for him. To me, it's a little bit the same thing when Canelo go against Bivol, and it's not because he's less good or talented than Bivol that he lost that fight.
Ramsey stressed that there is a limit to human beings, and getting one engaged in a bigger division is not the same. He spoke highly of both fighters. However, his inclination was more to the size, strength, and skill set of Canelo being the factor that could make the difference in what he saw as a close and hard-fought battle.
One point, the punch and everything was not the same effect that he have at other division, and I believe there is a limit that what you can do as a human being and push to those category. And I think because Canelo is also a very gifted guy. He's not only physically very strong, he's gifted and he's talented, a good talent, and I believe at the end of the day he's going to win, but it's going to be a very close and tough fight, of course.
Ice later joined Crawford and further supported the debate. Willie D dissected the matchup by pointing out the strengths and the weaknesses of each fighter and ended up predicting a comprehensive win by Crawford. Although he did not expect the fight to be a tight one, his thoughts were that it would be an easy decision or domination, where he would control the bout since the first bell.
I do believe, all things considered, Terence "Bud" Crawford will not only win the fight, but he is going to dominate the fight. If there is a decision, the decision will be unanimous. It ain't gonna even be close.
His faith in Crawford was rooted in the latter, having an outstanding talent for reading his opponents during the fight and adjusting to all circumstances. By combining that level of competitive instinct and intellect in the ring, Crawford, per Willie D, would be able to set the tempo of the fight, keeping his opponent at the end of Rolando.
Terence Crawford has that extra thing about him where his heart will not allow him to fail. The dude is one of the most competitive people I've ever seen in my life.
Lamont Roach Sr. talked about the adaptive style of Crawford and said that both would reach their potential as neither of the fighters wanted to taste defeat. He reflected a special interest in observing the issue of fighting Crawford at a heavier weight, implying that this aspect is likely to be a life-defining factor of the future event. He can beat guys a certain way, so being in there with another guy, he tries to figure out a different way how to beat that guy, but he's just a bad man, and I know one of them wants to lose, so you're gonna see the best version of each. I want to see how Crawford performs at that weight. With the approaching fight night, the tension on the boxing scene is ever running high. Two geniuses in their discipline are going to meet, and all the specialists are sure that one misstep might cost them everything. Will Canelo be able to sustain his dominant form in the opening stages fight, or will the incisiveness of Crawford's pursuit on the tide? Who is it you're gonna have in the dark when the lights go down and the first bell rings? Put your predictions below and press that like button when you want to get in the boot camp of war, and subscribe to the channel for more gloves off fight breakdowns as we build up towards one of the most anticipated and electric matches in the history of boxing.